Good evening. Welcome to Soni Irabor Live. And tonight we have a very distinguished senator. And I'm glad, in spite of all his busy schedules, he's been traveling. And in fact, he was able to manage from Oka to Enugu to just to appear on this program. So we're talking of distinguished Senator Victor Umeh, who is the chairman Senate Committee on Population and, of course, the NIMC, which is the National Identity Management Commissioner, I believe. So, distinguished Senator, there are a lot of things we're going to talk about tonight, but you are very welcome. Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. Distinguished Senator?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm hearing you well, Sonny.
Yes.
I'm here.
We can hear you. So how was your trip? Okay, we'll take a short break. I think we're having a bit of signal data problem. We'll take a short break and be right back, okay? Right. Welcome back. I'm happy to have distinguished Senator Victor Umeh. As I said at the beginning, is the chairman Senate Committee on Population Commission and, of course, the NIMC as well. That is the National Identity Management Commission, I believe. So, but beyond all those, assignments, there are other areas that we want to talk about, distinguished Senator. And I'm glad that you are here with us. In spite of your travels and everything, thank you for obliging us on this program. You're welcome. Can you hear me? Senator, can you hear me? I believe there's, yes, okay, I can hear you. Say something, I will hear you. Yes. Okay. So, as it is, we'll be talking about, a lot of things. The relationship between the Senate or the National Assembly and the executive, and then, of course, the judiciary. Then we'll also look at other areas, especially the areas that his assignments are duly confirmed, which is the Chairman Senate Committee on Population Control, and, of course, the National Identity Management Commission as well. We would then go beyond that to look at what are the checks and balances between the National Assembly and the executive. Is it always a scenario of, say, the President of the Senate will just say, okay, 2027 is assured by the President, the Federal Republic of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Ahmed Tinubu, who, by the way, turned 73 today. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Well, we are, yes, I will wave to you too. We are friends in that wise, and we are friends in every way. We can do the best for us to make sure that we, do the best we can to follow you and follow your assignments and help you grow, help you succeed. So, the Senate President, distinguished Senator Victor Umeh, who is my guest on Soni Irabor Live. We are on Zoom, and I think we're having a little bit of internet challenge. That's why we've tried to put him on twice, and he's frozen twice. But he's going to try and display. Okay, now he's back. So I was just ad-libbing, as it were. How are you, sir? So you're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, let's go straight to the point before we lose you again. What do you think of the relationship between the National Assembly and the executive? That's the legislature and the executive. Because it appears sometimes people just say rubber stamp, rubber stamp. We don't think that is the case, but can you expatiate on it a bit better for us? Must the Senate always approve everything the executive decides? or wants?
Well, by the design in the Constitution, the legislature is clearly independent from the executive. The executive is another arm, legislature is a second arm, then the judiciary. There are three arms of government.
Okay.
And by the Constitution, all these various arms are supposed to be acting independent of each other. So that's the situation.
Okay, but do you see that situation as happening? Or is it that everything the executive does is approved by the Senate because it is expected to be so? What are points of disagreement?
Certainly, it's not everything that the executive sends to the National Assembly that it will get back in the shape it was sent. For example, the appropriation, which is the budget.
Yes.
When the executive brings the budget for a particular year, the Senate works on the budget. It's not all the things proposed that the National Assembly will accept. Most times they tinker with it in terms of provisions made for items in the budget. You can alter, you can agree, you can shift from one side to the other, and then get out what the National Assembly or the Senate considers to be in the best interest of the country. In some situations, the executive makes an under-provision in certain key areas, and the National Assembly will feel that these areas are very important in driving the development of the nation. They will adjust the figure upwards. When it considers it to be too high, they bring it down to be able to accommodate the needs of other areas. So there are adjustments, definitely.
Well, what we are seeing is the fact that the inflation is becoming so high for the ordinary man on the street. And the National Assembly doesn't appear to be, involved, or they're not showing enough, interest in ensuring that the inflation is controlled. How do you see that?
No, that's a wrong
assumption.
Conclusion to make.
Okay.
One is that the government is policy experts that advise the government on the things to do to be able to stem the inflation that is spiraling in the economy. You have the Central Bank of Nigeria that controls the fiscal policies of government, and you have other experts working in the Federal Ministry of Finance and in the Budget Office. So all the Ministry of Budget and Planning, all of them work together to be able to agree on the parameters with which to drive the economy, to ensure stability and bring down inflation. But inflation is something that's driven by a lot of factors, economic, macroeconomic, and other policies that will affect the prices of goods and services. One thing we have seen in Nigeria is that because of the poor performance of the Naira in relation to the dollar and other strong currencies, we've not been able to control prices here, particularly as Nigeria is hugely import dependent and our product level is very low. So once your production level is low and you don't have much to export, to be able to improve on your balance of payments, inflation will catch up with you. Because once such a thing happens, when your currency is weak, the general price level will shoot up. And that's what the government is battling with up to this moment. So I think the government has its people working, particularly the Central Bank of Nigeria, to stabilize the economy and drive growth.
Okay. Now,
where
sometimes
we have seen challenges.
Senator.
Yes. I'm with you.
Yes, sorry. I'm lost here for a moment, but okay. Right. Well, the information management is a bit of a concern for us. For example, it was said only a few days ago that certain senators got $10,000 for certain decisions that were made on the part of the Senate. And so there were denials, there were acceptances, and some people even said, no, the money was Salah holiday, amount. Why dollars? Why not Naira? It worries me when we use foreign currency.
Well,
yes.
What you ask for is there any truth in the allegation?
Well, good. Thank you. Go ahead.
We begin to talk about which currency should be used to do such a transaction. I think what people want to believe all the time is that nobody is acting with his conscience. Once anything happens, the first thing to do is to blackmail people in government. For example, what you alluded to is one media group published that I was involved in sharing the dollars in a particular meeting. I didn't attend a meeting like that. So why should I ever believe such story again? If the publication was that I was, in fact, one of the key figures that convened the meeting and participated in sharing the money, and I now went to any meeting that it means that the whole thing is false and should be dismissed immediately. If they didn't say that I was in the meeting, then I'll be to think whether it happens, emphatically say that I was in the meeting and that I participated in distributing the points. You can't draw them out for the public to begin to disparage them. It is very unfortunate. That story, to the extent that my name was mentioned in it, is blatant falsehood, because I was never in such a meeting. Talk less of taking a dime or a cent for any purpose. I put out a reporter to that story, if you read it too. Did you read it?
The question is, was there money shared?
How can I know? I told you.
You did not attend.
It was said that I was involved in sharing the money. There was no such thing.
Okay, well, that,
so to the extent in his story,
yes,
I believe anything he said, is that it is. Yeah.
Well, okay. We would know we're having challenges because of the internet connection. However, let me also push you to the Professor Humphrey Nwosu's case. The Senate passed a bill that Humphrey Nwosu should be immortalized by his name given, and maybe something named after him, because of the role he played, the credible role he played in the June 12 saga. Another issue is the fact that during the book launch of General Babangida recently, he did confess that, he regretted, annulling June 12th election. What do you have to say, and what do you think is the way forward? Senator.
The Senate did not pass any bill. Some senators brought a motion because the man passed on, and in fact, he was buried yesterday. I was at the funeral.
Yes.
When he spoke to me, I told you I was traveling to Anambra State.
Yes.
And that was to attend his funeral. Other things I traveled for. Because he died, and the burial was scheduled for yesterday, 28th of February, some senators, particularly from the southeast, with other well-meaning Nigerians in the Senate, Senator Yahya Abdullahi and Senator Abamoru, as senators, co-sponsored the motion asking the government to immortalize him for the credible, you know, there was a word used that the credible role he played during the June 12th presidential election. So Soni Irabor has already accepted that he played a credible role in that exercise. So we felt that such a great man dying at 83, a revered professor of political science, and who has served Nigeria at a very important time in its history, should be immortalized based on the way he discharged his responsibilities at that time, and in a very strong military administration headed by many great generals. You know, at the time Nigeria was in the grip of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But he was appointed to be the chairman of the National Electoral Commission and given the mandate to prepare Nigeria for a transition from military rule to democratic rule. He was appointed in 1989, and he settled down to work. He set up the two parties we had then, because before then, there was no political party. He set up two parties, the National Republican Convention, NRC, and the Social Democratic Party, SDP. That was the first time Nigeria experimented a two-party democracy. And with these two parties, he was able to drive the transition, conducting various elections, building up to the final one, which will be the presidential election. He conducted the governorship and state assembly elections very credibly, using his novel option F4, which he designed. And it worked very well. He conducted the National Assembly elections very well again, and the results were hardly disputed, because that was the first time Nigeria has had an election that was not disputed by the contestants. The courts were idle after he conducted those elections. The State Assembly, the governorship, the National Assembly elections, the courts were empty. Nobody was rushing to the court to challenge the outcome of the elections, using that his novel option F4. So, and the way he made it was that as soon as the election starts, once the voting is done, troops lining up behind candidates of their choice, within minutes, the results are uploaded, results are shared everywhere. And when the results are announced, you'll be calculating the outcome of the election, you know, yourself. As INEC, as the NEC, National Electoral Commission, is compiling its figures, citizens are compiling their own figures because the results are available. They are announced at every level, announced at the polling booth level, announced at the local government collation level, announced at the state collation level. So before you wait for the final one, like the presidential election, the results of the election is already established. So he did very well, and with very successful conduct of the lower elections, State Assembly, National Assembly, coming to the presidential, we were all interested, Nigerians were interested, that this flawless election they have started experiencing will give them a credible outcome in the presidential poll. As he got closer to the presidential election, by 10th of June, 1993, a high court in Abuja, presided over by Honorable Justice Umeh, ordered INEC to stop the election, not to conduct the presidential election, on the 12th of June. But the election has been scheduled, and confusion set in immediately. And it became a case whether will he suspend the election, whether he will stop it and comply with the court order. He found the court order very bizarre, particularly as the extant law at that time provided that no court of law shall have jurisdiction to stop an election that is already scheduled by the National Electoral Commission. So relying on this provision of the law, the INEC chairman, Professor Humphrey Nwosu, decided to move on, to ignore it because he saw it as a distraction. On the 11th of June, he was summoned by the military government headed by President Ibrahim Babangida. He went to them and they asked him, "Are you going on with this election?" He said, "Yes, that everything, all the logistics have been deployed, that within 24 hours, everything will be done." And he assured them that the election will be very peaceful and rancor-free. So when they saw his determination, they asked him to stop the election. He should not go ahead. The Supreme Military Council told him not to go ahead with the election. He didn't like it because Humphrey Nwosu is a very principled man, a strong character. He looked at it and left with his people and decided to go on with the election. He told them, "Allow me to conduct this election, please. It will be unfair to Nigerians to stop this election at this last minute with all the logistics deployed across Nigeria." And I said, everything will go well. So they told him, "Well, don't conduct the election." He left them and went and continued with the election on June 12th. So he had a very clean election. The poll went on in all the polling units in Nigeria. And like I told you, because of the collation system he put in place, at every level, citizens were collecting the results on their own, because the results were everywhere known. It's just the exchange of figures. You tell your people who at various levels asking for figures. As the results were being shared, everybody was doing the computation. And by the time he got to the point of concluding the election, they didn't have, they hadn't received the results from Taraba State. That was the only result outstanding. And they had to go and stop him from continuing with the process forcefully. And it was a military government, people who operated with sophisticated guns. And he was summoned again to the villa. He went to see them. By his own account, which he gave both oral interview and in writing, and also published in his own book, which he has written. So these accounts have been corroborated by his oral interviews and the things he put down in his book. He went there and he was told, why did he continue with the election when he was asked not to go to the election? He told them that there was no reason not to continue the election, that if he had chickened out at that point, it would be a disservice to Nigeria. That the election has been conducted very peacefully and the results have come without any controversy. In fact, at the time, he was called to the villa by the military government, the military leaders. NRC had already congratulated SDP for winning the election. They have already issued a statement by Shitofa congratulating Emuku Abiola when the final result had not even been declared. So they said, no, he must stop at that point. And from his own account, he was asked to appear before the National Defense and Security Council. He went there and stuck to his gun. That's the situation. The only fair thing to do is to allow them to go and announce the results. And at the time they were doing that, the man who collected the results in Taraba State had come in with the official results, completing the entire thing, and Abiola had won. So he told them that Abiola has won. But if there's anything they want to do in this election, they have to reach out to Abiola that he has won. He's now the person who has won the election. They refused to accept that and ordered him out. Well, it's a long story. He went to various meetings, one chaired by General Abacha, and he stated clearly how Abacha told him to shut up when he told him that the election had been won and he should be allowed to go and declare the result. And he backed at him and told him, are you the one that will tell us what to do? We have given you a simple instruction, you have to go and carry it out. So the man now left. He left them. So these are records that are statements of fact. And when he left, he knew that they didn't want him to announce the results. He now asked his director of legal services to go to court and challenge that Justice Ikpeme's judgments, and also sought another of mandamus to compel the commission to announce the final result. This was not an easy exercise between him and the military government. And what Nigerians have not seen is that, let me come back to that later. He went on at the High Court, they disappointed them. They went to the Court of Appeal in Kaduna. And the Court of Appeal in Kaduna, the chairman of the panel was Honorable Justice Okeachike of blessed memory, a professor of law. Yeah. He taught me law contract at the University of Nigeria.
Okay.
So the man was eager to do, a very clean man. So the government had tried everything, and they hit brick wall, afraid that the Court of Appeal will make that order. The military government quickly, on the 23rd of June, because he had the matter, asked them to come on 25th of July, 25th of June, for him to hear the matter and make a pronouncement.
Okay,
so
let's take a short break.
June, 2 days to that day, they dissolved the National Electoral Commission.
What a shame.
And threw Humphrey Nwosu away.
We'll take a short break.
At the way it has happened, and looking at the whole exercise, I would say that Nigeria was blessed with a man with uncommon courage, somebody who dared the military, a combination of General Babangida and General Sani Abacha, among other generals. He stood his ground before them in their military council to defy their directive. So I'm surprised that people are now trying to distort history and want to take a shine of what a great man did. So that was why we put the motion that since he will be buried 2 days away, it is important that we eulogize him and put on record what he did, his contribution in fighting that democracy should return to Nigeria.
Yes.
So a fateful day, the motion was brought. It was shut down.
Okay.
If you carry that day, you see that I was very troubled. I made noise. I didn't accept it.
Yes. Okay. And, Senator, we'll take a short break now and come back to you. We'll take a short break. Please bear with us. We'll be right back.
Okay.
So,
all right.
This is very interesting, and Soni Irabor will be right back. Soni Irabor Live will be right back soon enough. Welcome back. It's a very special edition featuring Senator Victor Umeh. And we've had a long, very interesting story about late, it's sad to say he's already late, Professor Humphrey Nwosu. We used to call him alias Option A4, alias June 12th, and all that. Yeah, well, may he so rest in peace. Well, beyond all these scenarios that you've gone through and experienced, let us see, the role of the National Assembly is supposed to be for checks and balances, you know, checkmating if possible, if necessary, the role of the executive. And of course, the judiciary is supposed to be the middleman, you know, carrying the scale, as it were. What do you think is Senate doing now? Because the world, and I mean the population, Nigerians and the rest of the world, looks at the Senate as just merely, quote and unquote, not my word, a rubber stamp of the executive. Do you agree with that? And if so, can you explain better where you do not agree?
I do not agree, and I do not also feel that everybody will accept everything the National Assembly does. From outside, it is easy to criticize the actions of the Parliament, the Senate itself, but looking at things the way they are, you have to look at the other side. If this National Assembly has been engaged in quarreling with the executive, you know, making the economic situation to worsen, the National Assembly will be held responsible and be blamed for the economic woes of the nation. That is number one. And the way I have seen the 10th National Assembly operate, particularly the Senate, is that we are desperate to see that Nigeria is brought out from the brink. Anything that the government will want to do to experiment in trying to shore up the economy will give reasonable approval. We don't need to withhold approval for such things. It's like budget. When the government submits estimates for the financial year, and they begin to argue and quarrel and fight over figures and all that, if the budget passage is delayed, Nigerians will descend on the National Assembly again. So there is nothing you can do that will make you escape criticism. Because what the ordinary man wants is improved life, living standards, and all that. Nobody has patience to know the underpinning factors, things that drive the economy, and why the Senate or the National Assembly has been giving approvals to requests made by the President. It is all aimed at helping to get the President to turn the economy around and make it work for the better living conditions of Nigerian people. So once you are not fighting with the executive, you are rubber stamp. I remember I was in the 8th Senate, and at that time, Bukola Saraki was the president of the Senate. At that time, there were times that communications between the Senate and, in fact, the entire National Assembly with the President Buhari, everything collapsed. Things were not going well because of that bickering. I was in that Senate. Every morning we'll come to the Senate, we'll be confronted with one fight or the other. And governance diminished because of the way their leadership emerged. The president wasn't happy with it, and immediately he turned them as enemies of his administration. Governance suffered by so doing because there was no relationship between the national and President Buhari.
Okay, but let me chip in something here. You see, when the Senate President says, you know, the road to 2027, the second term is assured, it's not in his place. I mean, I'm talking as a layman and a journalist. In his place to say such things on behalf of the executive or the president. That's one. Number two is the fact that when you say you are on your mandate we shall stand or we stand.
Who says that?
I mean, we're hearing all that in the chambers.
If you hear that in the chambers from members of the president's party, that does not mean that the National Assembly has said so. Okay. It's like what the Senate President has expressed his own opinion that the position of the current president in 2027 is assured. He's making his own statement. Nigerians are over 200 million.
Yeah, but he's the Senate President. That's the point.
Nigerian people, the Senate President is a member of a president's party. So he will wish his party to win. That does not mean that Nigerians will accept it. So I don't think people will begin to say certain things to trivialize what is facing the country. Okay. If you are not able to what the Senate President said, you arm yourself with a voter's card. Nigerians should be prepared to make a choice in 2027 who becomes the president, whether to re-elect President Bola Ahmed Tinubu with the assessment of his administration, or to vote for another person. So many people have started drumming endorsement across Nigeria for the current president. But others are watching. There are people who, on a daily basis, criticize the government. This is a democratic right. And I don't think it's something that will be placed on a wrong view because somebody said you are there. If he says he's there, is he there yet? It's only when the Nigerian people say, yes, what the Senate President has said is correct, then he wins. If they say no, that one will be a statement by the West side. So I don't think anybody should begin to look at the National Assembly in that light. He's a member of his party. They are members of the same party, and they want to continue to win the election. It was like when PDP was here, they exhibited such hope that they will govern Nigeria for 60 years. And within 16 years, the bubble burst and they were gone. So I think people should not put so much attachment to personal opinions expressed by individuals, no matter who the person is. What is important is for us to strengthen our democratic institutions, ways of conducting elections. That is what will be concerning Nigerians.
Yes.
We won't expect the Senate to say that Tinubu will fail in 2020.
What do you say? What do you say of the new age limit that is being bandied around now? The president is 73, so no problem. He's already a president, sworn in already. But the age limit that has been bandied around is 60. That going forward, then the president of the nation called Nigeria, once he's 60, the 60 will be the minimum age or thereabout, or is it maximum age? Yes. What do you say about that?
It's not only the president that they intend to legislate out of the election. In fact, virtually everybody, including governors,
Yes, and governors too, that's right.
The age limits they're proposing are limits that will remove a lot of people from the political space. And that is what will come by way of constitutional amendments. And for you to amend the constitution, you know the process we go through to achieve it. Presently, the age limits are already stated in the constitution. For you to alter it, you have to go through very serious difficulties. One, it has to, assuming they pass it in the House of Representatives, it will come to the Senate. In the Senate, you have to retire everybody there, So I don't see how the Senate will maybe agree with them that all everybody will go home. Because the age limits they're proposing will legislate all of them out. There are very few people are below 60 years in the Senate. Very, very few. And, going by that, all the gladiators in the field today who are destined to become president, all of them will cease to exist in the political space. So I think such a proposal, no matter their reasons for doing so, will be disenfranchising people from their right to political participation. What is important in Nigeria, let me re-emphasize it, is that we should work hard to have credible, free, and fair elections. Even if a 100-year-old man wants to run for president, the people who will vote and choose him are not animals. They may tell him that he's too old to be president. They will not vote for him. So the choice must be left in the hands of the electorate. As soon as we achieve that level, we don't need to belabor ourselves about who should contest or who should not contest. The people will make informed decisions. The Nigerian voters will vote right if their votes will count. Okay. So that is the major thing we should strive at, not to eliminate Soni Irabor. Soni Irabor should not contest for anything. He's over 60 years. That is not what will build our democracy. What will build our democracy is transparent electoral process. As soon as we achieve it, then leave the rest to the Nigerian people. They know how to make the choice of their leaders. Okay, what's your take on the parliamentary system that is being suggested now? That you have a president, then you have the prime minister, and so on and so forth. What do you think? Well, in the system we have experimented with in the First Republic, so it's no longer novel. And we know that there are many countries that practice a parliamentary system of government. The important thing is that whether it is presidential system or the parliamentary system, the people who operate them are the critical factors, the human beings. If you have great people to run the presidential system of government and allowing democracy to flourish, the presidential system is not bad. That's what America has been using for over 200 years. And they're the strongest democracy in the world. But the fact is, we're not operating the presidential system the way the Americans are doing. That's because it's the human people we are the people destroying the presidential system of government here. We don't obey the rule of law. We do not have credible electoral process. That is why everybody is looking for another system. It's not the system that will perfect or provide good governance to Nigeria. It is the individuals, the human beings that will do these things. And the way we strengthen our institutions so that everybody will be subject to the laws of the land and to the processes of doing things. You don't just get out and do something that is blatantly wrong and you get away with it. Even if you have a parliamentary system of government in Nigeria, the same thing presidential system of government is suffering. That is what parliamentary system of government will suffer also. Because we are still the same people, we are still the same configuration of people, we are still the same ethnic nationalities in Nigeria, we are still the same people divided along the lines that are primordial, religious, tribal, and so on and so forth. Will you kill everybody to bring parliamentary system of government for there to be a change? So we have to be working very hard to be the vanguard for this great hope everybody wants to have in Nigeria. We have to ensure that our systems are working. Let it be that if you become a governor, from day one, you know that there are things you can never do. No matter who you are.
Okay.
But today, people will do things with impunity and get away with them. So these are the things that are the problems the country is facing, not the system of government.
Okay, I love that. But one final question to you, sir. The ordinary man on the street, the Nigerian, the one that you people are representing, feel that you are isolating them, that you're not doing enough to protect their interests, their basic needs, and all of that. What do you have to say about that?
I don't believe that. I know that things are very hard, and all of us are not doing the same thing. Yesterday, I had a training program that ran for 4 days in my constituency. I engaged 520 youths, and they were trained by the Federal College of Agriculture in Chicago in Ebonyi State in different agricultural production practices from 25th to 28th. That was one of the reasons why I went home on Thursday. Yesterday, they passed out, they acquired knowledge on how to do fish farming, piggery, poultry, snail, crops. They were so happy, all of them from 25th to 28th. And yesterday, they all ended the program. And we empowered them with seedlings, improved seedlings, and other materials for them to go and engage themselves. But there are people who are thinking about the people they represent. Not everybody will be dismissed because the expectations of Nigerians are not being met. There are people who are working very well for their constituency in Nigeria. The challenges are there, quite all right, because we're operating in a system where there are so many dynamics at play. And because of that, we can't dismiss everybody. I know I'm in touch with my constituency. And in the parliament there, I'm sure you see me speak regularly. Anything that affects my people, I stand up to present them, because the parliament is about the people. It's a parliament of the people where you go to canvass issues and programs and policies that will impact positively on their people. And you protect and defend their rights. So that is it. That should sometimes to suggest that know what you are doing.
Thank you so much.
I believe that the citizens should, as a matter of fact,
yes,
let us not operate with your representatives as your enemies.
Thank you so much.
Insulting them every day in social media. It's a collaborative thing, and I believe people should be able to understand, why certain things happen. It's like the issue of Humphrey Nwosu we debated the other day. I was amazed that some of my colleagues dismissed the man as he did not make any contribution. I said, how can that be? A man who the soldiers asked not to conduct an election, and he defied them and went on to conduct the election in the June 12 they are talking about. If he had accepted the directive given to him by President Bangida's team, there will be no election on June 12. Nobody will be talking about June 12 today. But he defied them, went on to the election, generated the result of the election, tendered them in court.
Yes.
And some Nigerians this age are now saying that the man did nothing, that he should be crucified.
Distinguished Senator.
It's not a way they can't build their country like that. You cannot take away accolades from a man who you need to recognize and acknowledge that he did well. I'm very happy. I read this morning that the president of Nigeria himself has rejected what the Senate did.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We must end the show here.
With love and common agenda. In Nigeria, there are so many agendas in the Nigerian political space.
Yes.
And that's why we're not. People are still seeing Nigeria as a country where some people will take over and take it to the exclusion of all others. If we want to build a nation, we have to run this country with strict observance of the provisions of the Constitution. On Tuesday, we debated the Federal Character Principle, Section 14.3.
Thank you so much, sir.
Despite the flaws in this Constitution that we have.
Distinguished Senator, at this point, I must end the show, sir. My time is up. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
You took the risk by inviting me.
Yes, and I'm very happy I invited you because you said so much for us to really gain from. God bless you, sir.
Let's allow Nigeria to correct itself.
Yeah.
As we go on, Nigeria will correct itself.
Amen.
There are things that are not good, quite all right. I share in some of those views, but then a country will survive and grow its problems with perseverance.
Yes.
America is the modern democracy in the world. You know that there was a time America was a terrible country where a white man and a black man must sit in the same bus. They will not ride in the same bus.
Thank you so much, sir. I really must end it here.
Things will change with time.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Distinguished Senator Victor Umeh. I'm really glad that you came on Soni Irabor Live. God bless you. And we'll come again. Don't be surprised when we do come. Thank you so much. And my guest has been Senator Victor Umeh, who is the Chairman, Senate Committee on Population Commission Control and the National Identity Management Commission. It's been Soni Irabor Live. Thank you so much, and bye-bye now.